episode of the I Believe podcast. I am your host, Beau Bartholomew, and today is going to be an interesting episode. This might also be the shortest episode on this podcast. The goal I have with this episode is to explain how it came about and why it is named I Believe. I'm talking about the podcast, if you haven't noticed. I will also explain my plans with where I want this podcast to go. Anyways, without holding out for any longer, let's start with some history, which you probably didn't think would exist for this episode. Podcasts originated in the early 2000s, evolving from internet radio and audio blogging to a global phenomenon with millions of listeners and diverse content. The term podcasting was coined in 2004, combining iPod and broadcast. The roots of podcasting can be tracked back to the early 2000s when software engineer Dave Weiner and former MTV Vice President Adam Curry developed a method to deliver audio content via RSS feeds. This innovation allowed users to download audio files directly to their iPods, marking the beginning of podcasting as we know it today. Now on the history of this podcast. A while ago, I was listening to podcasts, as one does, and I was looking for something new. I love mystery podcasts and historical things, so someone suggested a podcast about religions and cults. I listened to a few episodes and noticed a common theme. They only used hearsay information. And not only that, but they used this information to make fun of people and these beliefs. I felt heartbroken that someone could make their entire life goal to make fun of people and what they believe in. A small seed was then planted in my mind. Now, for how I got this podcast on the road, because it mainly revolves around the name and a small mistake that caused everything to stick. While I was sitting at work waiting for my assignment, I was listening to a podcast called Psychopedia. Now, this podcast is horrifying. It covers true crime cases at their worst. The amount of gore and swearing in this podcast could make it R-rated. All of a sudden, I had a thought. If you can swear, make fun of people, and do pretty much anything on a podcast, why can't I do something uplifting and interesting on a podcast? Why can't I do a deep dive into the things that I am interested in or the things that I don't understand? I quickly texted my mother and started working on ideas. The original idea for the podcast was to study religions and to ask guests that are members to basically come on the podcast and talk about their beliefs. So the title, I Believe, was made because I was quite sure that that was something we were going to be hearing a lot. I made the Instagram, the logo, our email, and I started making the website before it clicked. There aren't many religions that we can study and have a guest here in Utah. Did I abuse her, show her disdain? Why does she run from me? If I should lose her, how shall I regain the heart she has won from me? Agony beyond power of speech, when the one thing you want is the only thing out of your reach. In her tower she sits by the hour, maintaining her head, blithely coming and frequently humming a light-hearted air. Agony far more painful than yours, when you know she would leave you if there only were doors. Are you and your dearly beloved thinking of getting a divorce? Well, if so, call Agony Divorce Lawyers, 801-666-1313. Or don't call us, because we don't exist. Guess what, guys? It's actually life update time. You've probably noticed I really like to make up fake companies and make them really funny. But this life update, the starting company, actually had a reason. So earlier this week, by the time that I released this episode, I auditioned for My School Musical, Something Rotten, using the second verse of that song called Agony from Into the Woods. And that is why I chose to sing it, because I need some practice, because I'm recording this the day before. Anyways, by the time that this episode is out, I will actually have found out my part in that musical, and I'm not even going to tell you guys what parts I would like, because it would be really stupid if I were to record this and then edit them out later. And also, every part in this musical is amazing, so I would be overjoyed just to be in the show. So I'm just going to pretend as if they don't exist. Other than that, this week is going to be a fun week of school. It's week 2, what I call B-Day week, which means that it's B-Day, A-Day, B-Day, A-Day, B-Day. So just more B-Days. And that's really fun because all of my B-Day is 100% just fun, easy senior year classes. And so I'm pretty excited. Other than that, most of my life is podcasting and writing for the podcast and work, which you might be hearing about a little bit later on a special episode about amusement parks, which will probably be done January or maybe the 4th week of September. I'll decide. We'll find out. Anyways, that's it for the life update. I started to think about what I could do. What if I believed was just something to spark ideas? What if it was something we asked guests to say at the end? Like, I believe that ... As I thought about it, it became more clear. I believe can pretty much cover any topic. In this day and age, we can believe so much and have beliefs about legitimately anything and everything. This opened up the doors to possibility. I believe can legitimately be talking about anything. I can do episodes with guests. I can do episodes with just my co-host and I yapping. I can even do solo episodes. The possibilities went from like 12 to an infinite amount. Now I can interview people that I think are cool. I can use this to understand things, not just religion. I can use this to meet people. Now, we have a handful of episode ideas, but our list is pretty short. I want to remind you all to comment on this episode wherever you listen. Comment episode ideas, comment ideas of how we can do better, comment the cool jobs or beliefs that you have, or even comment saying hello. This helps us grow our audience and gives us possible episodes. Maybe we can even interview you, which is why you should comment your cool beliefs and jobs. The future of I Believe is bright. We have so many cool episodes planned for the next 2 months. Yeah, I'm like addicted to planning. Once again, please follow our Instagram, rate us on Spotify, check out our website, and anything else you think will help us grow. A quick correction to last week's episode. Episodes will only be released on Sundays, always at 5 p.m., and then the Sunday afterwards on YouTube. Join me next week when we discuss mothers. I can't wait to have you.